Couples Therapy. This is the segment where we each bring a deeply personal issue and the other person tries to diagnose it using the handbook. So Finn, what can I do for you?
Here's something that I don't consider I have a problem with.
So you're already in denial. That's fine. Let me just take a few notes there. Refusing to accept something that exists or happened. Denial can also involve altering the meaning of an event so that its impact is diverted. You may just say to yourself, that's not so important after all. This is the common sour grapes response.
Well, that's not the case at all, Martin.
Well, you're cured! Congratulations!
It's probably summarized best universally as work-life balance. If you've got a job and an employer in a highly demanding industry, so I'm thinking film and TV, finance, law, things like this, where if you are not putting in the time, the effort, you will not progress because someone else will. And there's lots of industries like this. Now, I don't work within an industry in that way because I have largely worked for myself. But I do so within a field that I personally enjoy. So a lot of the work that I do is tied up with my interests. And often I'll be working on something specifically in terms of development. Faux Show Crew is a very good example of that, where I don't necessarily see it as work. You could see it as me progressing a personal interest. But when you work for yourself, things merge. So I think this is probably a big problem with a lot of people, and increasingly in 2020, because many of us are still working from home, and that work-life balance is now entwined in the same location. Technology forces us to be so attached to things, and I think work-life balance doesn't even relate to work anymore. I think it's about just balance. And so there's a few things that I've done over the last few years to create a better balance for me, my life, and other people who I see on a day-to-day basis. And one of them was to nearly rule out all social media activity. And it was one of the best things that I did. If your app is on the home screen of someone's smartphone, you have won. You have won totally their attention. So I maintain social media from a business perspective. But see, personally, I want to interact with people like you used to. What's your idea on work-life balance?
My work-life balance isn't great at the moment, and I think a big part of that is because of the fact that I have no actual work. So it was a proper kick up the arse to kind of do anything and everything I can to, generate income or generate, busyness in general, because like my biggest hate is not being busy, and because I feel like the minute you're not busy, you feel like a total, at least I do, I feel like a total failure. It's like I've got nothing going on. I'm totally like wasting about. So I haven't seen a lot of my mates for like months, and like I guess COVID's a big factor in that. But even with opportunities when we were able to meet up and stuff, I would still kind of choose work over that. And I think a big part of that is just because I need to keep working. I'm lucky to be working at a time where a lot of people aren't, so I'm taking full advantage of that. But generally I try to keep a good work-life balance. I switch off from social media during the week, like you were saying about the front home screen. Well, what I do is I take all those apps from that home screen and I move them to the back. I move them to like page 8 of apps, so that when I pick up my phone, which you always do like 40 times a day, 50 times a day, as soon as I open that, it's like a chore to scroll through. Nice. So like you're less inclined to check out Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, YouTube. And the same goes for notifications. Bum them off. iPhones have a great feature called screen time, and it's you still have to commit to it, because I've put it on before and I was like, fuck this, I'm switching it off. But screen time, what I tend to do is I figure out when I wake up in the morning. So if I wake up between like 7 and 8, what I'll do is put on screen time between 7 and 10. or a 7 in 12. So that means that I can't access any of these apps that I normally access first thing in the morning. And I feel like that really helps with productivity and the work-life balance.
So, Martin, talk to me.
Alright, so I've got a very deeply personal issue that has come to light in recent months, and I really hope that it's normal and that it's, you know, you can diagnose it today, because it's not worrying me, but it might after this conversation. Basically, I talk to myself quite a lot, right? And I'm not talking like, where are my keys, or we're out of milk. I'm talking like, I'll sit and have a fabricated conversation with characters in my mind for like an hour, 2 hours, while I'm working, while I'm in the shower, while I'm eating breakfast, while I'm dinner. I'll have full-on fucking conversations with people in my mind. Like, I shit you not, I've had this conversation with you at least 15 times this week.
But are you vocalizing the conversations, or are they all internal?
I'm speaking out loud. No, I'm fully speaking out loud.
Different characters?
No, I'm only speaking me, and then you're in my head.
Oh, mate, I don't think that's necessarily anything to worry about. Vocalizing something like that may seem strange to some people. Like, I do the same, but I wouldn't vocalize it, you know? And I don't think vocalizing it is anything strange, because that's just an expression in a different way. But man, like, I bat things around in my head in the exact same fashion.
That's the difference. I'm not thinking about stuff. I'm like...
Are you playing them out?
Yeah, I'm playing out like scenarios in my head. It's weird. It's usually business related. It's usually business related conversations. It's not just like, oh, how you doing? It's like full on like pitching in my head, but I'm saying it out loud with this person who's totally fabricated. I don't even know what this person's like, but I've made up this entire character of them and I'm chatting to them. Am I a psychopath?
How I would explain that is you're projecting scenarios. So I do the same. Like, I wouldn't do it in the same way, but I think about, so if I'm needing to deliver a pitch to a client, or I've got a really important call coming up, I'll run through potential futures, like potential eventualities. Like, what you're doing is strategizing.
But do you talk? Do you like say them out loud? Do you like, oh yeah?
No. See,
like, oh,
no. See,
George, I love the work you're doing today. Because that's what I do.
No, see,
I literally fucking talk
to
these people out loud. I went to the bins out the other day, and my neighbours were out having a cigarette, right? They're below me. And they were like, oh yeah, so like, who do you live with? I was like, oh, no one. They're like, really? Swear I've heard people like in the flat. Like,
Zoom calls, man.
I just make a lot of calls,
on Zoom
bro.
calls.
I make a lot of calls. It's like, that's when I realised, oh fuck, I talk to myself like right now. My neighbours are probably thinking I'm fucking talking to myself. But no, I shit you not. Like, I spend the majority of my day talking to myself. It's fucking weird, and I think it's maybe not weird, but nobody talks about that, so I'm not sure if it's weird or not.
You know what, mate? Firstly, let me say thanks for bringing that up. If anyone else does this, please comment below. You know, like, let us know what your experience is with this. I don't think that's too strange, mate. Like, in all honesty, do you voice the, like, so if you're so this conversation that we're having now, would you be voicing me out loud as well as you?
You're in my head.
Oh,
you're in my head. Just
all right.
me.
All right. So that would be so, like, I'd be a little bit more like confused by this, because I'm no expert, but I think that would be a question mark, and kind of like, oh, now you're like voicing me out loud, voicing yourself out loud. Like, I do this, but just I don't voice it out loud. What that probably is your way of it's the best way of you preparing yourself, because you're just strategizing, right? Like military people will do this, people in communications do this, actors do this, creative minds right, do work differently and project their creativity and their process in a variety of ways. And I have seen your work and the way that you craft and create, and I would just see this as a pre-production process that facilitates you developing the finished product.
Thanks, Finn. That's really put my mind at ease. And also the way you framed that, it's like everything that I'm doing is like pre-production for something that's going to happen. So all those conversations I've had with Margot Robbie, it seems like we are going to end up together.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Well, this is pre-production, bro. Just set up the call sheet and then a location agreement, and that's us. We're good. I wish people were more vocal with their personal issues. And I'm glad we have this as a segment, because I'm looking forward to deep diving into a lot more.
I am likewise really looking forward to it because, as we all know, men's mental health is not spoken about. And young men these days, especially with the rise of social media and the pressure on men to look a certain way, to be a certain way, young men and boys don't feel like they can communicate how they feel. I hope potentially that this can go in some way to help that. So yeah, let's break the mold, man. Let's expound the boundaries of our potential and all of that jazz.